Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video we want to keep working on our CSS Carona effect. So where we left off, we've got this one div, it's round, and it's got a box shadow, a white box shadow on it. Now we have a pseudo element inside of that main block, and obviously it's got a red border and it's a rectangle. However, that red border is really just there so that we can visualize it in the short term. Let's play around with this pseudo element. Now I'm going to take this and put a border radius on it. Now 50% would make it round. There we go. But I don't want it to be completely round. I'm going to try 40%. So it'll kind of make it this weird little oblong shape. Now also, in addition to transform translate, which I use to help center, I can also put in something like this. Rotate, how about a negative 30 degrees? Yeah, so just kind of twist it a little bit, and okay, it looks pretty good. I'm going to make it a wee bit larger. Instead of 70%, what about 80%? Now I don't want those red border lines to go outside of the parent, but this will help the effect look pretty good. And specifically, what if I put on there a box shadow that has a lot of X on it, maybe 40 pixels of X, 0 pixels of Y, a lot of blur on it, and nice bright white. And it'll create that shadow effect, but that shadow is going to be more on one side than it is on the other. You might be thinking, all right, I guess that looks okay. However, we can go a step further. Let's check this out. I'm going to do a animation name. We'll call this Carona. Got to spell animation properly. And then in addition to that, I'll do an animation duration. And let's do this for maybe 40 seconds. We'll see how that looks. Now I got to create this animation. And down here, I'm going to write at keyframes. Carona is the name that we want. Now there's going to be the from with a set of curly braces. And then there's also going to be the to with a set of curly braces. Now what I'm going to be animating is basically the rotation, which in reality is the transform. I'm going to take the entire transform declaration, copy that, paste it in the from, paste it in the to. So I'm starting at where it is, but I'm going to change it. Not the translate so much, although that could be neat too, I suppose. But really I want to change that rotation, something big. 360 degrees would be a revolution. So if I did something like 700 degrees, that's almost 2 revolutions, but of course I'm starting at negative 30, and we can even see that impact is already starting to take effect. Cool. Let's exaggerate this even more though. I'm going to take this entire pseudo element, this before pseudo element, I'm going to copy it and paste it, and we're going to change this one to an after. So now we have 2 pseudo elements going on at the same time so that it really stands out. I'm going to start this other one, this after pseudo element. It starts at negative 30. I'm going to change it to a positive 50. Okay. And I'm going to adjust its rotation. Instead of 40 seconds, or I'm sorry, adjust its duration, I'll change that to like 60 seconds. So both of these are going to spin at different speeds, and you can see that starting to take effect right in there. So they're going to be a little wacky there. Let's alter the shadow. Instead of having an X of 40, let's make it 0, and we'll do like a big negative 40 pixels on there. Cool. And so that's going to give it a slightly different shadow effect. It's going to make it kind of morph and change out there. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger too. Instead of 80%, what if I change it to 84% and 84%? Remember, I'm just making sure I never want that red border to go outside of the main parent disk. So I don't think we have a problem there. Our illusion is almost complete. Instead, I need to put these pseudo elements behind their parent. So I'm going to jump up here, and it doesn't really matter where, but I'll pick a spot, and I'm going to do a z index of -1. I'll put one of them behind, and then I'll go to the other one and do a z index of -1. That's going to put that one behind. And so now I think our illusion is going to look pretty darn good. And we've got this hazy glow. And if you kind of watch and you're careful, you'll see it just kind of moving around, just kind of morphing. And We could exaggerate again, and what if this was 90%? If we get those edges a little bit closer, it's going to appear to be a little bit brighter. That's looking pretty good. And we can change these shadow effects so that it's 110. Oop, that might be going a little bit too much there. Let's see what happens. Cool. All right, I think it's working. You can kind of see that subtle glow. And don't forget, you don't have to do white. You can try all kinds of colors. If I did FF0, that's a bright yellow. And then you can kind of play around with that to see how that looks and see if that's revolving around in the way that you want. So yeah, definitely have fun with that. We used a couple tricky things here. We've got pseudo elements going on. Remember, the HTML is very, very simple. It's really just a div with a child div. And this child div has a before pseudo element and an after pseudo element, plus it's styled itself. So we've got a couple of pseudo elements in there that are just styled similar but different than each other. And of course, the key is we've created an animation called Carona with keyframes, and we have a starting position from and an ending position to 2, and that's going to go take place as soon as that page loads. So have fun with that. Take care.